I demand that Shawn Michaels be drug tested immediately. I demand the suspension of Triple H. I demand NXT be redone from just this episode. It needs to be wiped from history and restarted from the beginning so that it can be a completely, totally different show without Shawn Michaels and Triple H for this night. They need to be moved on. Whoever idea it was for Shawn Spears to win a title in the main event of this show clearly is on drugs and has an IQ of 40. It has to be. There's no excuse for this. I don't even want to talk about the show now because this happened. I have never been so flabbergasted and dumbfounded. And let's just get into this show. I'm going to talk about Evolve later, and I may find a way of roping Evolve into the NXT reviews, because I might actually try watching the first episode of Evolve, maybe the first two, just to see how it is. But I'll talk about Evolve near the end of the review. All right. So Chelsea Green and Piper Niven are defeated by Sol Ruca and Zarya. This match, Chelsea Green got her nose busted, I think. But they just beat the hell out of Chelsea Green in this match. I mean, there was a spot where I believe Sol Ruca hit a move on Chelsea, and Piper Niven went to break it up, and she moved, and so Chelsea got crushed. And then Zarya picked up Piper Niven and did an F5, and Piper Niven landed on Chelsea Green, and then Sol Ruca hit the Soul Snatcher. I mean, it just crushed and smoldered and smushed Chelsea Green the whole night, and then she got pinned. She did a really good job selling the Soul Snatcher. I didn't like the bump she took, though. She took the Soul Snatcher on her knees, which was very weird. I don't understand what the purpose of Chelsea Green being a champion is if she's a jabroni. I just don't get it. Even though, you know, they made the match so that Piper Niven could fall on her 100 times to really kind of, you know, protect her a little bit, the fact that she got beat at all is very strange, especially when you could have just done a disqualification or something. Now, hopefully this means that Sol Ruca will wrestle Chelsea Green for the United States belt, which could be fun, you know, so that Chelsea Green can get this win back, because Chelsea Green, again, female version of The Miz, you can beat her 1,000 times, but that doesn't mean that you should. I certainly don't believe that Chelsea Green should be losing this much, this often. All right, Jordynne Grace and Cora Jade, they got into an argument backstage where Jordynne Grace was literally pissed that Cora Jade wants to win the Knockouts title from Masha Slamovich and take it to places that it should have never been. Very Ultimate Warrior concept there. And Jordynne Grace says, the only way you win in that belt is over my dead body. These two had actually gotten into it also online, as Jordynne Grace said she was going to pop Cora Jade's balloons in a tweet. And Cora Jade, because she has a very bad attitude, she talked about Jordynne Grace also having breast implants, which is hilarious. So they have the match on this show, Cora Jade versus Jordynne Grace, and Cora Jade got injured again, and the match was stopped. Apparently her knee or something went out, and she could not continue. Cora Jade just came back. She was in the middle of a storyline, and now she's out. We don't know how bad the injury is. It might not even be a real injury. It might be a storyline injury. I'm not sure at this moment in time. But if this is legit, Cora Jade has been injured pretty much every year she's been on the roster. She is Dakota Kai level at this point. This has got to stop. Maybe she needs to be put behind a microphone or something. Maybe she needs to be a microphone holder. She needs to be a ring announcer or something. Maybe this wrestling thing ain't for her if she can't stand up long enough to have a match. So now her whole thing with Masha Slamovich is probably going to end up being put in a blender. And it might end up just falling to Roxanne Perez, who is probably a better choice anyway. Roxanne Perez attacked Jordynne Grace with a chair backstage, so they could set up that match next week in Madison Square Garden, I believe. or the theater of Madison Square Garden, not actually Madison Square Garden. Don't get too excited. So, Roxanne Perez is apparently going to fill in for Cora Jade. Okay, that's fine. She's better than Cora Jade anyway. But Cora does have a lot more, personality, a lot more stamina. Not stamina, charisma. That's the word I was thinking of. I don't know what kind of stamina she's got. But it's very sad. Hopefully this is not a legit injury. And if it is a legit injury, hopefully it's not too bad. But if Cora Jade is going to be out for any sort of significant amount of time, I think we need to consider transitioning her to another line of business. Maybe she needs to be a commentator or something, because wrestling ain't for her. She's been in the company for like 4 or 5 years, and she's been hurt every year. It gets ridiculous at some point in time. All right, Jada Parker defeats Kalani Jordan. This is probably the longest match of both girls' careers. It was a good match, though. I mean, they went out there and did their thing. The only problem I have, there was 2 spots I thought was kind of weird. Jada Parker actually kind of lost Kalani Jordan on a suplex, where it looks like Kalani slipped out of her hands and she fell on her stomach. Which, you could just take that as like that's how a move's supposed to look. But it was clear that Jada Parker was trying to do something else, and Kalani Jordan just slipped from her fingers. I was surprised to see that they actually pulled off the Spanish fly from the top rope, and Jada Parker rolled out of the ring. Problem with this was she didn't really sell it. It really kind of just occurred to me, like, yeah, you could do this huge top rope flip, and it's not the finish. The actual finish is Jada Parker running kind of in slow motion and throwing her butt into somebody's face. That's the finish, not the big top rope flip. This is modern pro wrestling. I like both of these girls, though. I love me some Jada Parker, so I'm with it. After the match, Stephanie and Julia were called out by Jada Parker, who said she's going to be watching their match. I definitely like this. This was pretty good. Trick Williams was mad as hell backstage. He wants to fight Eddie Thorpe, but Ava, for some reason, don't want that to happen. And then the Chase U guys, Kale Dixon, which that does sound like a porn star name, and the other dude, Uriah something, I don't know. They showed up. They tried to give Ava a box. They wanted to give her a present, but we don't know why. We don't know why they wanted to give her a present. Anyway, Trick Williams is pissed, told them to bug off. They said, no, we got to give it to her now. Then they mentioned that he was the reason why Chase U was gone in the first place, and he thought he was going to kill them. And then he challenged them to a match tonight, and Kale Dixon agreed. Kale Dixon versus Trick Williams, it was one-shot kill. Trick Williams ran across the ring, hit the trick shot, and knocked Kale Dixon right on out. The match was over immediately. That's by referee stoppage. At that point, Trick Williams called out Eddie Thorpe, who showed up. He's still upset that he's not considered the man, and says that he's going to whoop Trick Williams' ass in the NXT Underground. Trick Williams, of course, accepted. So that match is going to be in 2 weeks. So they're not going to put that on the Roadblock show. This will be the week after the Roadblock show. Very well done. Okay. I like this. It takes Trick Williams out of his element. And this is, in kayfabe, the element of Eddie Thorpe, where he has the upper hand in the in the NXT Underground. So I like this. Obviously, Trick Williams has to win this match. Why wouldn't he? And I'm also okay with Trick Williams not having a real match with this Kyle Dixon guy. I don't know who that is. Nobody knows who that is. Put the star over. Have him kill this guy. All right, Tony D'Angelo said that there's only one family in NXT, and it's his. And he recognizes that Stacks is concerned about his back, but he's going to fight this match anyway. And this leads us to the main event. Tony D'Angelo with gray hair. Tony D'Angelo has gray hair. He's 29. He's 29. And he's got gray hair. How is this happening? What is he doing to himself? Jesus. He's going to fight Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears told Ricky Saints that the Revolution will indeed be televised, and when he wins the North American title. I was not interested in this match for obvious reasons. There's an absolute bottom-feeding scumbag in this match. Somebody who's one of the most worthless, useless, garbage professional wrestlers in the history of the business is a part of this match. And he's wrestling Tony D'Angelo, who rules. And who I have noted is probably the new Razor Ramon in terms of very cool gimmick. Don't know where it's going, but still very cool. And they told the story of Tony D'Angelo's back. And, Shawn Spears used to put him in a sharpshooter, different things that was hurting Tony D'Angelo's back. Then things break down at one point where the family, meaning Shawn Spears' family, is interfering. And there's people running all over the place. Stacks ends up in the ring. He knocks Tony D'Angelo off the ring apron because Shawn Spears shoved him and knocked him off the ring apron. At that point, Tony D'Angelo's back smashes against a chair that was laying on the floor. From there, Shawn Spears does his terrible finisher and only gets a 2 count. And I was like, the Lord is with us. The God is in the room. God is in the building. He kicked out of this move after the story of Tony D'Angelo's back. And then Tony D'Angelo tries to go for his spine buster, and then he collapses. And from there, Shawn Spears pins him. And all of a sudden, poof, no God. God's gone. He just took off. He was playing a trick on me. He was like, ha ha ha, poof, here it is. Fucking Shawn Spears is the North American champion. Tony D'Angelo beat Obafemi. Alright? Tony D'Angelo beat Obafemi. And he lost the belt to Shawn Spears. Do you understand how offensive that is? Do you understand how jarring that is? Do you understand how disgusting that I find that? It is abhorrent. Something must be done. Do I have to boycott? I'm about to email Al Sharpton or something. Somebody's got to do something. I'm down bad. We got to email Jesse Jackson. Somebody's got to stand up for what is right in this situation. We cannot let bums, and he's a Canadian, this Shawn Spears. And now he's a North American champion. Oh my God. Look, I know Canada is in North America. That ain't the point. The point is he should be in Canada, not in NXT. Moving on. They did a couple of phony press conferences where Obafemi and Moose and a bunch of other people got to talk. It was okay. Obafemi and Moose basically pushed the Nigerian versus Nigerian, and how both of them are big bad guys who are going to win. Moose was very wooden, very like a stick in the mud. Like, he didn't show any personality in his promo. But then again, Moose is a bum. I've said that before. I've said that lots of times. Then they decided to waste the Hardy Boys' time coming out here. They barely got any words out before they got interrupted by bums like Hank and Tank and Briggs and Inamura, who decided they were going to fight because Hank and Tank wanted advice, but Briggs and Inamura wanted the tag team belts. And the advice that the Hardys gave them is that sometimes you have to break from the norm. You have to go extreme. And by going extreme, they mean going past your own limits. And I like that. That was really good advice. And that's what made Hank and Tank attack Briggs and Inamura, because they're trying to break from the norm and do something different. I don't want to see Briggs and Inamura. I have no interest in this. Anyway, Fraxium showed up. Next week, you're going to find out what's the best tag team in the world is right now, as they're going to wrestle the Hardys in the shadows of Madison Square Garden. I like it. I didn't like this promo segment, though, because Hank and Tank, legit, we're going to bring these guys out here now to mix it up with the Hardys? No. Briggs and Inamura? No. Pass. Big pass. No, thank you, bro. I'm sorry. I can't get that. I know it's NXT, but I can't get with that. Can't get jiggy with that one. Sorry. Ethan Page and Javon Evans had a split screen promo where Ethan Page was upset that Javon Evans dared give him advice when he took him 18 years to get to WWE. That's pretty much Javon Evans' entire life. And he says that he dares to give him advice. He says that he started feeling like he was getting too soft. And he wanted to handle that. And Javon Evans said he couldn't talk for 3 months. And he's not going to let Ethan Page run anymore. He says that he's not going to let anybody like Ethan Page hold him down. No one's going to hold him down. No one's going to steal his joys. Nobody's going to take his smile. That actually got the crowd into it. I like Javon Evans. He comes across as being very natural in how he speaks. Of course, he still needs some work in terms of promo, but I like that he actually sounds like himself. You know, he sounds like this is how he talks. So that was good. Their match is going to be pretty badass. It's going to be a street fight, so that ought to be fun. Fallon Henley harassed Ava for her rematch, which I'm surprised took this long. I think they just remembered she's still in the company. I think they just remembered she's still there. So she's harassing Ava for a rematch because she's like, wait a minute, how did Julia get a match and not me? How was that happening? So that's a good question. Very good question. Ricky Starks backstage tried to fist bump with Ridge Holland, who told him that he shouldn't be here in NXT and he wasn't moved by Ricky Starks' performance. I'm like, oh, well, I'm pretty sure he's very heartbroken that he didn't impress Checks Notes Ridge fucking Holland. Oh no, what am I to do? Ridge Holland doesn't like my work. What am I to do? If you don't get your big blockhead ass out here, you don't deserve to be here. They wasted so much pushing Ridge Holland. It's so embarrassing. All right. So I've seen that Dave Meltzer is claiming that Julia is injured. That's why they're rushing this Julia versus Stephanie Vaquera match. There has been no confirmation from anybody credible. So there's no way of knowing. I'm just going to continue with my disqualification bait. And more than likely, there's going to be more to it than that. And I don't think either one of these going to win. Because even if Julia was hurt, there's still no need to put the belt on Stephanie Vaquera. Even if Julia is hurt, there's still no need to do this match. I mean, if anything, Julia being injured is the reason why you wouldn't do this match. Because you wouldn't want to make her injury worse. So, I would imagine there's an angle here. So now you got Jada Parker on the outside looking in. You got Jordan Grace on the outside looking in. Okay. And, you know, that could be an interesting bit. And it's also for NXT TV as well. So clearly it could just be, it's going to end in disqualification. But Triple H in his vignette said that this could be the biggest match in NXT history. And I know that, you know, we like to speak in hyperbolics sometimes. But let's not get ridiculous. You know, like, let's not get, it's certainly the biggest one of the modern day, considering both of these girls came in a house of fire and haven't lost. Well, Julia's lost. But both of them came in a house of fire and have been doing really good. I don't think this is the biggest match in NXT history. I don't think it's anywhere close. Nowhere close. But it's a pretty big match, especially for TV. All right. Apparently NXT is doing very well on television. I've seen that CW's ratings are up 40%. They're actually expecting to be profitable for the first time in forever next year, due primarily to live sports, which of NXT I think is the highest rated of their portfolio. So NXT is doing gangbusters. I'm very glad to see it. Extremely happy about that, because that only means that we're going to get more of what we're getting right now. Except for that Shawn Spears shit, NXT's been killing it. They've been doing a good job. The TNA crossover stuff has been pretty good as well. I don't think this was the strongest episode of NXT by and large. I mean, maybe Cora Jade and Jordan Grace would have been a better match if it allowed to continue. But still, the Chelsea Green stuff wasn't great. Even though I did like Jada Parker and Kalani Jordan, that was the only thing I really hung my hat on something that I really, really liked on this show. So that was that. So let's talk about Evolve. Evolve is going to actually air March the 5th, which should be the day this video is uploaded. Now, apparently their roster for Evolve is going to feature a hodgepodge of lower tier NXT talent, meaning people who are on a level up and have not appeared on main NXT shows. People who have not been featured on main NXT shows for a long time, such as Gallus and Wendy Chu, who quite frankly have been in NXT forever. All right, Gallus and Wendy Chu. Let's be honest. If you don't have a place for them, even in mainline NXT, why are they still here? You know, like, I know the Rock, he worked out with Gallus. Maybe that's keeping them a job. What the hell is protecting Wendy Chu? Because she's been on the roster 5 years or more. Even more. Because I think she made her debut as Tian Sha. And when Xia Li was there. And that was in 2020. And she was on the roster for a while before that happened. She's gone through 2 or 3 different gimmick changes. She's been sent to TNA. There's just, what more can you do? Like, she clearly got she got pictures of somebody in her phone, right? She got some kind of blackmail material on somebody. Not that I dislike Wendy Chu, but she's a prime candidate for cutting her loose. You fired better people recently than Wendy Chu. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't see why she's still there. And I don't see why Gallus is still there either. But I guess they got to have veterans on the show. So people like Gallus is going to be there. People like Wendy Chu is going to be there. Talent that have been working NXT level up, like Lainey Reed. And what was that other one? Kylie Armstrong. And there was another one. The smiling girl, Danny Parker, or Danny Luna. No, not Danny Luna. Danny Parker, I think her name is. No, it's not Parker. It's something. But she's like an acrobat. She's another one of these gymnast wrestlers. And then there's going to be the WWE ID talent, all of which I think are capable of being on Evolve. So Kylie Ray, who has years of experience, that Cappuccino Jones guy, Jack Cartwheel, all of those people. So it's going to be a hodgepodge of young talent, mature talent that people should already be familiar with, and they're all going to be smushed on this one program. They're going to introduce a championship for the men first, and then weeks down the line, they're going to introduce a championship for the women. I don't think the championship will be introduced in the first match or the first episode. So maybe they'll start the tournament or something like that in episode 1. I'm interested in seeing how it will be shot, because the original Evolve was shot very guerrilla style, where, you know, the promos were just about the matches that were going to happen and about the matches that just happened. As it went on, they started having more angles, but Gabe Sapolsky kept it pretty bare bones in terms of how he used talent. So I'm interested in seeing if that's going to be the direction he goes in. Also, I am interested in seeing a lot of the younger talent that we don't see all the time. But I have no interest in adding another wrestling show to do a review of. If I watch Evolve and I actually end up liking it, what will end up happening is I probably will take notes and then tack it on to the NXT for the next week. If I like Evolve enough, I may just postpone the NXT review and then tack Evolve onto it so it'd be the same week and then post it. But we'll see. But I really don't want to watch any more wrestling shows. I don't think I have any more wrestling shows in me, if we're being honest, man. But I don't know how long that show is going to be either. I think it's going to be about an hour. And it's going to be running concurrently with Dynamite. So I don't need to actually sit down like a Saturday or a Sunday or an extra day of the week and watch it. I could just have it running while Dynamite's on, you know? So that could be fine. I could just have it on my tablet, so that'll work. Apparently, they're going to shoot this old school style where they're going to do a big block taping of Evolve shows, and then they'll just air weekly. To prevent spoilers, it's only going to be family and friends. They said it's only going to be like 100 people in the building. So just like the real Evolve. Well, the real Evolve actually took place in like nightclubs and stuff too. So, okay. But it's going to air on Tubi, 8 o'clock. So Tubi is free. If you're international, like if you're in Canada or UK or something like that, you should be able to watch it on YouTube. That's if you even decide to want to add more wrestling to your diet. I'm not sure I want to, but I want to give it at least a shot because there's some people there I want to see. So I'm willing to give it a chance. I said the same thing about that Legends and Future Greats, and I didn't watch a single episode of it. As we speak, I still not have watched it. So maybe I'm just blowing smoke and it's not actually going to happen, but you'll have to see. Overall, though, NXT was not my favorite episode. Actually, it was one of my least favorite. And the Shawn Spears thing, wounded me that much that I literally lost my love for NXT for about 20 minutes. And that's what it took, for me to regain something in order to do this review. Because to be quite honest, I was like, fuck it, I'd rather talk about Evolve. We'll just wait until after Evolve airs, and then I'll put NXT out. So maybe I'll do that. How about that? Maybe I'll punish NXT for daring to make me sit through Shawn Spears. We'll see. I'll talk to you guys later. Let's talk about Evolve then. I did watch the first episode of WWE Evolve on Tubi. I was surprised to see Peter Rosenberg on commentary. Not sure how I feel about that. Robert Stone as well. They were competent, I suppose, even though I don't like Peter Rosenberg. I think he kind of sucks as a person. But I guess he was serviceable. I mean, this is a fifth tier WWE program. I mean, who cares who's doing commentary? They're just trying to do what they do with Pat McAfee, which is use a celebrity commentator to get people to pay attention. Hey, it's a celebrity featured on the show every week. Would you come watch it? No, not for Peter Rosenberg. I will not. But let's walk through the show real quick. So HBK welcomed everybody. They just were all standing there. All the competitors are standing there, and Shawn sets up the main event. He sets up the first match. And then we don't see Shawn again for the rest of the night until he passes over control of Evolve to Ava. So Ava will be in control of both NXT and Evolve. That's fine. I think he said he's the mayor, but she's the sheriff, or he's the sheriff, but she's the mayor, or something like that. I don't know how he got that going on in his head. But Ava, who is absolutely terrible at one job, has now fallen forward to a second job. So hopefully her promos are not going to get better. She's just not good at her job. She's just not good at it. She sucks. Ava is just really, really bad. But you can't expect Shawn to be on this show every goddamn week. So, I mean, I'm glad they got it out of the way on episode 1. Alright, so the first match was a women's match. The main event was the men. One of the problems here is that if you're not familiar with everybody, you don't know who anybody is. I mean, and that became a problem right out of the gate. Kendall Gray and Carly Bright versus Danny Palmer and Kaylee Armstrong, one or the other. I have no idea. Like, I've probably seen Kendall Gray and Carly Bright before, but I couldn't pick them out of a lineup. Couldn't tell you which was which on any given night. And I knew Danny Palmer because I've seen her on NXT before. Also, she came dressed like she was going to a picnic. She was wearing Daisy Dukes and pigtails. I'm like, that's weird. Why would you dress like that? Like, you literally look like you're about to dress in front of your family and friends. Kylie Armstrong is a big black girl. Because WWE is literally growing Amazons. They're plucking them off trees. Black Amazons. Just plucking them off trees and throwing them in the ring. She was very green, super green. Probably the greenest person in this match, no doubt. Actually, she is, without a doubt, the greenest person in this match. Dani Palmer is the most agile human being I've ever seen. Well, one of them. She's one of the most agile human beings I've ever seen. She's also very tiny. Kendall Gray is actually not bad. She's pretty smooth in the ring. She locked on an armbar to win the match. So her team won. Kylie she's a big girl, but she's got a long way to go to show some personality. The big finish here comes with Dani Palmer using a corkscrew moonsault off the top rope outside the ring, but Kendall Gray and Carly Bright vanished and she hit Kylie Armstrong instead, and it took Kylie Armstrong out. So then after that, Dani Palmer was locked in an armbar by Kendall Gray and she submitted. So Kendall Gray and Carly Bright win the first match ever on Evolve. Then they got time to cut a promo because some gigantic Puerto Rican guy is there. I don't think I wrote down his name. He was just big Puerto Rican dude. Kylie Bright, I guess her character is bubbly and babyface, while Kendall Gray's gimmick is a little bit more selfish and self-centered. She said, when you think about Evolve, you should be thinking about her. She worked so hard, her eyelash came off. I was like, okay, they're just getting started. So obviously they're not the best when it comes to promos or anything like that, because if they were, they wouldn't be on this show. That's the one thing about Evolve you can almost guarantee. If they were any good, they wouldn't be on this show, right? For the most part. Not all of them. Not everybody is terrible. But it's clear that they all need to learn how to talk. Later on in the show, after the main event, Kylie Armstrong came out and attempted to complain, but she sounded very normal. I didn't lose. Yeah, we saw that. You lost the match, but you got taken out earlier. So she's apparently going to be set up to be a heel here, which makes sense because there was no really discernible heel or babyface in that first match anyway. Though it seems like they've already leaned towards Kendall Gray being a heel, and they're leaning towards Kylie Armstrong being a heel. So, Kylie, or Carly, I'm sorry, because there's a Carly and a Kali. Whatever. The black girl. God damn it, she's the only black girl in the match. Alright, so there was a vignette calling this place the breeding ground for tomorrow's legends. And then there were some LFG commercials. I refuse to watch that show. I'm hearing that the show has already been signed up for a second season, and they're already replacing people. Mickie James has been replaced off of LFG. We don't know why yet, but it's happening. And she's being replaced with Michelle McCool. For some odd reason, that got people really in a huff. I don't know why. I don't know if the show is even doing any good numbers or anything like that. Every time I see a clip of it, I just cringe. Undertaker talking about bouye spots and stuff. I'm like, ugh, I don't want to watch that. So the main event features some pretty generic looking white guys. Very nondescript. Everybody looks like they shopped at Marshall's. I'm like, who are these people? Like, this is a 6-man tag. I'm like, who are these folks? I have no idea who these people are. The main event features Shawn Legacy, who is, they said, a former bodybuilder. So, okay, he stands out a little bit because he's the only one with some fucking muscles. Jack Cartwheel, who I know, and I've seen him on the indies. And Cappuccino Jones, who looks like a split between R-Truth and I Show Speed. When he was wearing regular clothes, I thought he was I Show Speed's big brother. Then he started coming out in his wrestling gear, and he's wrestling in jeans, and he looks like baby R-Truth. Like, can you please do something to stand out just a little bit? Just a little bit. But the other side is even worse. Because you got Jackson Drake. Who? Literally, who? Like, show a vignette or something to tell me who this guy is. They had a promo segment so these three guys can talk. And they're talking about how they're going to swipe right on our girlfriends and our wives and our moms. I'm like, huh? Does this mean like you're some kind of handsome dude and you get bitches? Is that what you're trying to say? You trying to say you're gonna take my bitch? That's what you trying to say? Then you can't do that on Hinge. At least I don't think so. She better not have no fucking Hinge or anything else. But Ricky Smokes, who the fuck is this guy? I don't know. And then Brad Taylor. Now Brad Taylor, once I saw they use a placard on the screen that says "Evil Matt Damon," I was like, I know who that is. Okay, so look at that. I know who Matt Damon is. So the guy who got the Trunks haircut, he's Brad Taylor. And that's the only one I was able to follow on that team. All right. I was able to follow Evil Matt Damon because they kept calling him Evil Matt Damon. So I watched him. The other two have no idea who they are. The match itself was fast paced. It was probably the most professional match of the night because all of these guys are indie wrestlers that have been around for a while. Just Cappuccino Jones. Jesus Christ. Jack Cartwheel he's quite the acrobat. Much like Danny Palmer, he could do anything physically. It's all about getting him to do it in the right places, in the right times, and stuff not looking like a Power Rangers Kung Fu fight scene. I mean, everything Jack Cartwheel does looks like it's something out of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragons, or House of Flying Daggers, or some shit. Somebody throws a punch, he cartwheels away from it. I'm like, what? That's so unnecessary. But it's flashy at least. The heels were they're kind of mid. Nothing about them really stood out to me. But I did like Cappuccino Jones. He did two moves in this match that I really want to talk about. One is the Froggy Bow, which is a move that Mark Briscoe also does. But I think he did it very good here. It was very smooth. But he did another move called the Decaffeinated, which I didn't even understand. I don't know how that move even operated. He grabbed his head and then he did like a flip over into a neck break. I'm like, what is this? What is the definition of this move? I need to see this move in slow motion. And I need to be walked through it. How does it work? Because I didn't even understand it. Anyway, Shawn Legacy, Jack Cartwheel, and Cappuccino Jones wins the match. All of these guys are nondescript white guys on the heel side. Nothing about them stands out. They didn't do anything to make them stand out, to make them jump off the page. When they did a promo segment, it was everybody together. No, I didn't like that. I didn't like that everybody was jammed together like this. But the main event was fine. It was okay. I just think that tag matches and six-man tags and stuff like that, unless you're introducing a tag team, probably having everybody or a bunch of people shoved into one match, not the best idea. Just saying. So you had some guy called It's Gal. He's hanging out with Luca Crucifino in VIP. Interesting. So Luca Crucifino is here. He says that he's here representing the D'Angelo family and that Tony D'Angelo runs things on NXT. He's going to run things in Evolve. Okay. Sounds like he was sent on a mission. So, I don't think Luca was that green that he needed to be sent to Evolve. I think he wasn't that bad. Him and Stacks could have been a decent tag team, but I guess they wanted to get more seasoning. The second match on the show, because there was only 3 matches on the show, Keanu Carver versus Trill London. Keanu Carver, every black dude on this show got dreadlocks, by the way. Every one of them. But they all do look different at the very least. Except Trill London. He does kind of look he's kind of skinnier than Cappuccino Jones, but he might be taller. Keanu Carver, his gimmick is that he's a hardhead. He grew up with no real parents in the house, no father, mom worked a lot. He's been on the streets talking about he had to fight the whole hood. I'm like, yes, felt kind of generic, but okay, he's a big dude. Big scary looking guy. Trill London was in the NFL. Talked about getting bullied as a kid because of how he dressed and how he looked. And I was like, that's not a good way to start. I would never tell the world that I used to get bullied. I would never do that. Like, that's the weirdest thing that it becomes in modern wrestling. You talk about all the stuff from when you was a kid, all these gripes that you had as a child. Oh, they used to pick on me all the time, and make me eat boogers and swallow worms and all this kind of stuff. They threw quarters at me. I'm like, why would you want to tell me a story that makes you look less cool? Like, it worked for Mick Foley because his character was pathetic. And it made you feel sympathy for him because he was pathetic. This guy was in the NFL, right? I don't want to feel sympathy for an NFL player. He's supposed to be cool or something. He lived the dream of millions of boys. That should be something you're supposed to... If he got like a boring childhood or something like that, then forget it. He played in the NFL. We should be focusing on that. Now, this match was pretty simple. It was actually kind of a squash match, which I was surprised with, because squash matches when you don't know anybody as well is kind of weird. But Keanu Carver just pretty much chewed Trill London up. Simple story. Keanu Carver is a big dude, very angry, but he's also very sloppy. He was trying to do the Vader punches in the corner. He was really just... He laid him in. Trill London was trying to protect himself. He did a decent job of it. I don't think he died, but he did okay. Trill London fought from underneath. He got like a couple of punches in, maybe a drop kick or two, but not much. The finish was a sky-high spine buster. So, okay, he beat him with a spine buster, which according to our good friend Big Nasty at Forbes is the blackest move in pro wrestling, is the spine buster, and I actually kind of agree with that. So that was fine. Want to see more from Trill London. I was actually more impressed with him and how he was selling and fighting from underneath in this match. They didn't give him a lot to do, but you can tell that there might be something there, you know. Keanu Carver, I saw somebody call him Timu Obafemi, which is nuts because Obafemi has barely established himself. But just give him some more time. You know, these guys need more time to grow and to... that's what Evolve is for, you know. But this Trill London guy might have something. He said he's very inspired by Jeff Hardy. So, I mean, it might be something there. So the show was short. It wasn't even a full hour. I think it might have been like 40 minutes. 3 matches. 2 of the matches went of serious length. No deep storytelling involved yet. Basically just an introduction to the style of the show, which I think it was pretty well shot. The crowd, very sparse, very, very small crowd in the Performance Center for this. But that was what they said it was going to be. They said it was going to be family and friends and all that stuff. So from the first episode, all I can say is the swipe right guys are super cringe. They look like a fraternity, which might work for some people. It don't necessarily work for me. Individualize some of these guys, especially if they've never been on WWE TV before. Individualize them. Vignettes, single promos. Even if it's a tag team match, make sure we know who everybody is by name and face. So that's a big issue. Now, I'm willing to see how they're going to continue to make things interesting. They already planted some story stuff here. Luca Crucifino being here, some guy named Gal hanging around. They might be bringing in some LFG talent, from my understanding too, that they've been talking about. But they've already set up who your baby faces are and who your heels are, but they didn't identify, singularly individualize the heels. So that's going to be an issue. So it's okay. It was all right. It certainly wasn't the best wrestling show I've seen, but I was intrigued. I wasn't bored by it. The only problem I would have to say probably, I think the first match and the main event were probably too long. But then again, they're trying to give them some ring time, so it is what it is. They're going to be introducing somebody next week to some guy named Harlem Lewis. All these people just sound like a who's who of who the hell is that? You know, so like that's really all it boils down to is we don't know who none of these people are, and we're all going to go for the ride together. Unlike NXT 2.0, where, you know, there was tons of vignettes and the characters were loud and they jumped off the screen at you, where even if you introduced 5 or 6 people, they all looked different. Like, you had Tiffany Stratton and Brian Breaker and Von Wagner and who else came in around that same time? Tony D'Angelo. All these people, they were so wildly different that it made sense. Once you start seeing these people, like, okay, this guy looks different from this guy. He has a different character, different gimmick. That was one of my big issues with Triple H taking over, is a lot of the distinctiveness of characters have diminished quite a bit. So not only do most of these characters look the same, they sound the same, they have weird names, and they just go out and wrestle, so you don't get to see like the character build. That's one thing that Vince and Bruce really worked into NXT, is distinctive characters, distinctive looks. Not everybody has the same name or face or anything like that. Anyway, should you watch the first episode of Evolve? I would say, if you can stomach more wrestling in your diet, sure. If you just didn't want to watch Dynamite, fine. Certainly, I don't want to compare the two. I don't think that's fair. But I watched a fair bit of Evolve while Dynamite was on. So I would suggest, if you like Level Up, like if you liked watching NXT Level Up, this is the same thing. It's just Level Up under a different name, as far as I'm concerned. That's the mood I got from this. But Level Up, I think, may have done more for character development and highlighting individual talent than Evolve has done in their first night. But I'm going to give it like 2 or 3 weeks. I'm going to give it some chance to really develop some heat and develop some baby faces and see where it goes. All right, NXT Evolve. Talk to you guys later.